committee members, if you'd come to the dais, please. Good afternoon and welcome to the April 12th, 2017 Legal and Finance Committee meeting. And we will start with roll call and determination of quorum. Thank you. And now for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion to adopt and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. And now on to general public comment. We have one speaker form. We have two speaker forms, and we will start with Sylvia Conrad first.
I own 20 acres off of Sedevy Lane, which is south of St. Patrick behind the Open Bible Church. There is a sod farm. You may be familiar with it, Valley Sod Farms, that's south of me. The gentleman that purchased that wants to lease my land, incorporated into his sod farm operation. I have owned it for 19 years, and because of street, floodplain, mainly the sewer situation, I've never been able to find a use for it. And as much as I would like to be a farmer, I am not. So my request at the City Council, and I've got a packet for each of you, is that this 20 acres be allowed to be de-annexed and put back in the county and help the sod farm business expand and give it a proper use. Thank you. May I bring the packets up?
If you want to just give them to her over there, she can pass them out. Thank you very much, Sylvia. And now for our second speaker request, we have Major, I think it's Lana Christensen. Is that right?
Reserve employees. The top 30 employers or finalists were selected from a pool of 3,064 nominations submitted earlier this year by National Guard and Reserve Service members. From these 30 nominations, the 15 recipients will be selected and announced later in June. The Rapid City Police Department was nominated by Sergeant First Class Chris Hall, a member of the Joint Force Headquarters with the South Dakota Army National Guard. The Rapid City Police Department is proud of their employees' military service, as evidenced by their creation of a National Defense Ribbon, which officers who have served in the armed forces may wear. This ribbon signifies their military service. They actively recruit National Guard and Reserve members to be part of their department and have created formal policies for military deployment and reintegration to better support their employees' service during military service. Each deploying member is assigned a primary point of contact for them and their families to provide support, maintain communication with the service members, and help keep the chief informed regarding the needs and well-being of the service member and their family. The Rapid City Police Department is active in the Fraternal Order of Police. While the service member is out for extended military service, their dues to the FOP are paid by the Rapid City Police Department, so the membership is not lost and their families can still receive support from them and utilize the facilities. The Rapid City Police Department has also created a peer support program designed to provide confidential emotional support during and after times of personal and professional crisis. Service members transitioning back to the department are encouraged to reach out for support from this group. One officer said of the peer support group, "I never expected all the support, which made my transition so smooth." The chief's message to all officers who have been out is, know your transition is at your own pace. Our reintegration program and training days are here to help you feel ready and go back on patrol. You need to take care of yourself and your family. Take a breath and come back when you are ready. Our culture here is, when duty calls, you go, we will support you. The Rapid City Police Department has gone above and beyond what is required to provide exemplary support to their employees who serve in the military and their families. Would Mr. Jim White, Major General Reich, Assistant Chief Police Don Hedrick, and Sergeant First Class Hall please come forward for the presentation of the certificate? On behalf of the employer support of the Guard and Reserve and our state chair, Mr. Ron Milkey, we are proud to recognize the Rapid City Police Department as a finalist in the 2017 Secretary of Defense Employer Support Freedom Award competition.
Thank you. The Rapid City Police Department has been privileged to support our employees that serve in the Guard and the Reserve. It's a tremendous honor to have our efforts recognized for that commitment, and we will strive to offer a great workplace for employees that serve our country. Rapid City is known as a community supportive of our military, and as an agency, it's important for our officers to represent the diversity of the community that they serve. It's extremely important for us and for our department to take advantage of the skills and high level of training that Guard and Reserve members bring to the work. It's no secret, citizens who answer the call to the military service are some of the most dedicated individuals out there. Being able to bring with them into the department has been a tremendous success. Our Guard and Reserve members are some of the most committed and skilled members in our agency, and it's critical for us to do everything that we can to accommodate their needs as they continue to serve our country both home and abroad. So again, I thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations. Yes, Mr. Wright, you can speak.
Thank you. It was June 30th, 1993. I retired from the South Dakota Guard, and I had 27 years, I believe it was active Guard and Reserve time. And I want to emphasize from this side of the bench how important it was for the employees, employers, and community to support the Guardsmen, Reservists, and active duty for being deployed and being called to duty for training. It was essential for our ability to perform our mission, and I appreciate what has happened today to bring the attention to it, which is really good. In the old days, we would be when we were active with the Guard, we'd spend an equivalent of 100 days a year on active duty in TDY, going to places like Fort Lewis and so forth. And our employees had to support and be willing to give us up and allow us to go. And for training and so forth, it's imperative and important. And it's also to support the families too. So thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Now we're on to consent items, items 1 through 10. And I don't have any speaker request forms, so I will open and close public comment. And are there any items 1 through 10 that anyone on the committee wants to pull?
7.
Item 7? Any, Mr. Lorente?
Item 6, Chair. Thank you.
So items 6 and 7, can I have a motion for the remainder of the balance?
So second.
So I have a motion to approve items 1 through 10 except for items 6 and 7. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 6, acknowledge February 2017 sales tax report. Mr. Lorente, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to have this item pulled just to let the public know and once again bring it up at least at this level, and I will at the City Council meeting on Monday, that the situation is looking more bleak. At the end of January, I believe we were just over, I think we were maybe 0.2%. I can't remember. It was as low, it was very close to zero. And now we are sitting at a negative 2.2% over last year at this point. So it looks like probably for the first quarter we're going to be negative unless something major happens to our sales tax in a very positive way, which I would hope for, but I don't believe that's going to happen in the month of March. But I just want to make sure that we're all understanding the situation, that we, along with the mayor and the staff, set the budget for 2017, and it's based on an assumption of sales tax increases at much higher levels than where we're sitting right now at a negative 2.2%. Now, I know staff is going to do, and they've already had conversations, and they're going to do a great job of adjusting their budgets probably as necessary, but I just want to make sure that my colleagues on the council are prepared if it has to come to us to make the necessary cuts in our budget so that we live within our means, which is the sales tax and the property tax that we receive from the taxpayers. That's our job. That's what families in Rapid City do when they don't make the monies they expected to make, and that's exactly what we need to do as a government. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Lorente. Nobody else is in the queue, so if I can get a motion.
To approve.
Have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 7, authorize staff to issue requests for proposals for downtown parking study strategic plan. Mr. Wright, you have the floor.
Thank you. May I ask Dale a question, please?
Yes.
I assume, does this have to do with the, I'm going to call it President's Plaza for lack of a name, study that we were talking about several months ago?
Yeah, excuse me. Yes, this is the first piece of the planning process that city staff outlined to City Council at a special City Council meeting after our trip to Sioux Falls to discuss similar type projects. So,
I just want to share with my frustration that I thought we'd be moving a lot faster on this. That's it. And that we're just at the planning, actually requesting for planning. I assume the study will take several months. Assume this will not be back to us till probably fall or later. And I just hate to see this delay. It's not your fault, just the way it is, and I wish we were moving a lot quicker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Lorente, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to speak briefly about this, and I will again Monday night as well. But this doesn't have my support for many reasons, but primarily if just from a fundamental principle that we keep wanting to insert ourselves in this parking downtown, when in reality all we're doing is taking away private sector jobs by inserting government in an area where we don't belong. And anybody who's been to any major city or cities even our size, all of the parking in their downtown areas are not owned by government. They're owned by private individuals. And if there were such a market in Rapid City for parking, as some government officials believe, I can't believe we don't already have private parking stalls building up around our city, applying for building permits because of the great opportunity for parking downtown. So it's really sad that we keep throwing ourselves into this and the taxpayers suffer for it because we have bonds we have to pay. We're paying bonds right now on parking structures that we have, and we don't belong there because ultimately, if there's a market for parking, if there's a need, and we've had many studies, even since I've been on the council, at least one or two that I can think of off the top of my head, where they've looked at the downtown. We don't have a parking need issue. We have plenty of parking surrounding the downtown sector. So I won't support this. I won't support this Monday night. I won't support this at any time. We have greater infrastructure needs. And I wouldn't categorize this with infrastructure, but we have infrastructure needs, as we've all talked about, that are millions of dollars in a deficit as to what we're actually funding it right now. That's where we need to be focusing our time and money, is how we're going to get more of the taxpayers' money on infrastructure and public safety. And that's what we need to be talking about, not parking. Let the private sector handle the parking if there's such a great market for it. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Lorente. Alderwoman Motorkey, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll counter on yours on an area that I think is important. We were just talking about our sales tax and our revenues, and what we need to do more as a community is to do our buy local and remember to do our buy local. And the competitor right now is the internet. It's huge, and we don't get a benefit from that. But if we provide enough parking, we're providing convenience, which the internet is thought to of. It's a false thought, but it's supposed to be convenient for the consumer. If there's not enough parking, and realizing that our downtown, our heart of Rapid City, is building and growing in more and more events and activities and lofts and apartments. So we want that to happen, and if we need to make sure we don't lose that throughout the growth of our master plan, we're still putting in the areas that we need for the hundreds plus spaces so that we're creating that convenience, and that will return back to us in our sales tax in the end. One of the things that I'm thinking of when you just said we've got several studies included while you've had past council years, those I haven't seen, and it would be rather nice to see what we've already got that we spent some money on. It would be great to pull it off the shelf. It sounds like maybe there's some dust on it, and that could certainly help us with the evaluations that we need to do to find out where our needs are. If we've already had that evaluation, say, in the last 5 years, and we are seeing growth and development downtown with our master plan and our new master plan going east, this could tie in and it could update us. But we need to find out where our baseline is. So if we've got a baseline out there, I'd like to see that. I think it would be really helpful, especially when we're coming before council on Monday, and if this is deferred down the line to figure out where we were in the past, I'd like to play catch up. I haven't seen that study, and so I think that would be very valuable if that could be supplied. But I think we are creating a false vision that we don't have a parking issue. When the town is hopping, it's pretty difficult to find a place to park and to shop and to buy and to dine and to live. And it's valuable to this community, and it is part of our responsibility. I'd love to see private parking. I think it's an enterprising opportunity, and we should be making money on parking as well. If we own it, we should enterprise it. And but I don't think we should throw it out completely. And that's my feeling of the moment. And I'd like to see that dusty document.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm going to respectfully disagree with my distinguished colleague to the right. But first, I want to say that I think the very first traffic study was in 1962, done by the DOT, and there's several since. One in '74 was an update, and there's scads more. But the historical fact is that we have a central business district that by zoning and by policy since it was built has never required off-street parking of the developer or the buildings. That's a thing we live with today. That's what got us to where we are today. We have parking in downtown, and the vast majority, if we were to do a study of where they're allocated, are on the right-of-way, so that inherently gives it to the city. If we're going to change that policy in that direction, we would have to change who has that authority, and that's a possibility, and that is to turn the entire downtown basically over to that owners. That's a possibility that maybe should be talked about. But until we do that, we have the obligation to take care of it because it's ours. And I think maybe part of this parking study, instead of just counting bumpers and slots and spots and spaces and where they are, is a long-term policy discussion of what we should do or should not do. Since we own it, we got to take care of it, that's all. We can change it, but it's going to change we have to change our whole direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wright. No one else in the queue, so if I can get a motion.
Make a motion to send to council.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? One opposed by Mr. Lorente. And so it passes, and it will go to the council without recommendation Monday night. That is the end of the consent calendar and no non-consent items. So if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you.